In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to place wall textures on vertical surfaces. Like in this house, we have a wall out here in the front, and I'm going to place it on these two walls here. It's a lot like adding on a flat surface or the ground of a driveway or a patio with a little bit of a twist. The first thing we want to do is set the scale. To do that, we'll go up here to Tools, we'll click on Measure Image, and we know from this point to this point here is 20 feet, so we'll just place that in here. And now we want to define the area. I'm going to start with this front wall. So we'll go into the Define Area tools, and keep in mind with the Define Area tool, if you hold down the Shift key when you're using the Polygon tool here, it will give you a straight line. So when you have straight lines like I do in this one here, it just makes it a little bit faster and easier to get a straight line. So I'm going to also connect this piece here, which is across the driveway from the wall, and make them one unit, so they will change together and the perspective will run together. Even though there's a gap here, the program knows to keep sizing it going down in this direction. So now I've got it defined. I'll click on Ideal Work Library. We want to go up here to Products, select Stamped Walls, and we're going to get this first stone we see here, and now we'll pick a color. I think a white and dark black here will work good. So now it's placed the texture on there. The next step is to adjust the perspective. Now with walls, the one thing you want to make sure you do is click on Walls. What Walls does is it connects the perspective handles to the left and right, whereas paving connects them to the top and bottom. This will be to the left and right. Now what I like to do is just line up at least one wall, and it's pretty quick and easy to do that. So what we'll do is we'll put the perspective handles on the top of the wall and the bottom of the wall over here, and then I'll grab it and put it on the bottom here, and we're going to line it up with the top here. And as you can see, the perspective continues as if it was connected over here to this piece of the wall here, and I want to make it a little bit larger by sizing it up. So now we've got this one area defined. Let's move on and do the wall on the house. So we'll click OK. Now one thing that really makes walls look more realistic is having the shadows on walls, and you're going to understand that by the time we're done here. But if I want to put a texture on this wall here, you see there is a shadow from the second floor. What I want to do is define that shadow first. So I'm going to go into the Define Area tools, and again I'll just draw this. I'll click OK, and then I'm going to click on Shadow. So now that's become a shadow. Now I'm going to trace out this wall and define it. So again, we'll go into the drawing tools. So now I've drawn in that wall. I'll go here to Ideal Work Library. Now I'm going to grab the same texture from the front wall here, so I click on Grab Pattern, click on that, and it's placed the same pattern here. So now we want to adjust the perspective. We click on Walls again. Now we just grab this handle and line it up at the top here, and I'm going to grab this handle and bring it up so that it would match up that surface there. And as you can see, in a matter of seconds, it's lined up, and it's pretty much the same scale as the front wall here because we set the scale. So I'm going to click OK, and now I want to send it to the back so that the shadow that I drew is above it. So I'll click on Send to Back, and there's my shadow. If I want to make that shadow a little bit darker, again I'll click on the shadow, right click, and raise this to say 45. Now let's define this wall here. Again, of course, we're going to use the Define Area tools, and I'm going to skip ahead here a second. Now to cut out this window so that we don't place the stones over the window, we want to go to the subtraction icon, which is this icon here, which everything I draw after I've selected it is actually going to be a hole in the area that I've drawn. So I'm going to zoom in here by pressing F10, and I'm just going to draw around this window. And as you can see, that became a little bit lighter. So now I will zoom out, click Ideal Work Library, and again we just want to go to Grab Pattern. We'll grab this wall pattern here. Again, to adjust the perspective, we'll go to Walls, and we'll take the perspective handle from the back and move it here and add this one up to here. And now we want to adjust the scale just a little bit so that it matches up with the pattern on the corner here. There we are. So now you'll notice that it doesn't look very realistic. This one is very bright and it should be in the shadows. So what you want to do is create a shadow for this. Now you can go back and trace this out again to create something that's the exact shape and size of that, or you can just simply go up here to duplicate, and I'll click down to duplicate that area. Then I'm going to right click to cancel duplication, and then I will click on shadow. So you could see it created a shadow the exact same size as what I drew, which makes it much more convenient. So now I want to make this darker. I right click on it. I'll go here to 55, and I want to blend the edges here a bit. So I'm going to put a 1 in here and click OK. Now to finish this front wall off, you see we have two sections I did not define, this little piece here and here, so we need to go into the Define Area tool and define them, and I'm going to do them as separate pieces because the perspective really wouldn't be going in the same direction. So again, we repeat this whole process, grabbing it, adjusting the perspective, and again we want to make a shadow on this to make it look more realistic. So again, what you do is you make sure it's selected, go up to the duplicate icon, click once to duplicate it, right click to cancel duplication, click on shadow, and bring the shadow over here, and we want to make it darker, so again we'll go to 55. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Now I'm going to do the shadow for you again because this is a three-step process. The first thing you want to do is duplicate. So again, we'll go up here to duplicate. Click down to duplicate it. We're going to right click to cancel, and then click on shadow and place it where you want it. Again, if you want to make it darker, you can always do that. And there you have it. That's how you place in walls.